Now I know, beloved, now I know. And when it comes to understanding God, you are only going to be able to say, now I know God, after you have passed through an experience that taught you about God, that reinforced God's love, and that revealed God's grace, His mercy, His justice, His power to you personally. We are never going to really know God by simply just reading the Bible alone or by just praying alone. And why is this? This is so because God is real. And because He is real, we must experience Him. We must experience knowing God. We must have a real experience in knowing God, in God revealing Himself to us, that we may be able to say 100% that we know God. And after we have passed through the experience, it now changes our reality, which now becomes a fact that becomes the bedrock of our faith and of our knowledge of God. So the experiences that we go through, they answer the hidden questions of our heart about the ability and the power and the love of God toward us. So all of our experiences that we go through in this life, they are teaching moments. When we pass through those experiences, we receive the lesson. This, beloved, is how God teaches us. He teaches us. He reveals Himself to us through passing us through experiences. And these experiences help to qualify us for a deeper knowledge of Him. And it is only through experiencing God on a realistic scale that we are now qualified for heaven. So heaven is not a theoretical place. It's not a place on paper. It's a place in reality. And in order to go to that real place, we have to have a real experience with the real and the living God. So now I know. The experiences are necessary because they are teaching moments. Notice in Exodus chapter 18 verse 8 to 11. And Moses told his father-in-law all that the Lord had done unto Pharaoh and to the Egyptians for Israel's sake, and all the travail that had come upon them by the way, and how the Lord delivered them. So God was only God to the Israelites because they experienced His mighty working power, because they experienced His mighty outstretched hand, because they experienced deliverance. And verse 9 says, and Jethro rejoiced for all the goodness which the Lord had done to Israel, whom He had delivered out of the hand of the Egyptians. And Jethro said, blessed be the Lord, who hath delivered you out of the hand of the Egyptians, and out of the hand of Pharaoh, who hath delivered the people from under the hand of the Egyptians. So notice what Jethro says that is profound. Now I know that the Lord is greater than all gods. Jethro was the priest of Midian. So here now he sees the experience. He sees Moses and the children of Israel pass through an experience, and he saw this experience. He received the testimony of this experience, and now it took his personal relationship with God. Someone else's testimony took his personal relationship with God, and the testimony was so tremendous because in that person's testimony he saw things that never happened before, and so it took his relationship with God to such a profound level that he says, now I know that God is greater than all gods, for in the thing wherein they dealt proudly, He was above them. So the Egyptians dealt proudly above all other religions. And God humbled them to the dust. And Jethro now says, now I know. After the experience, within that experience is the teaching moment. And after that experience is the revelation of God, beloved. So we get a fresh revelation of knowing God after we pass through the experience. Notice in 2 Kings chapter 5 verse 13 to 15, and his servants came near, this is Naaman, did not want to do what Elisha told him to do. And his servants came near and spake unto him and said, My father, if the prophet had bid thee do some great thing, wouldest thou not have done it? How much rather then when he said to thee, Wash and be clean? Then went he down and dipped himself 7 times in Jordan, according to the saying of the man of God, and his flesh came again like unto the flesh of a little child, and he was clean. And he returned to the man of God, he and all his company, and came and stood before him, and said, Behold, now I know that there is no God in all the earth but in Israel. Now therefore I pray thee, take a blessing of thy servant. So what did Naaman say? Now I know that there is no God in all the earth but in Israel. So Naaman understood, because of the experience that he passed through, where God used it as an opportunity to reveal himself, that there was no God like Jehovah. So beloved, the experiences that we pass through are teaching moments. We cannot know God unless we have an experience and unless we are taught of him in those and through those experiences. So the God's method of teaching us is going to be through living experiences. Notice, beloved, Psalms chapter 20 again. The Lord hear thee in the day of trouble. The name of the God of Jacob defend thee. Send thee help from the sanctuary and strengthen thee out of Zion. Remember all thy offerings and accept thy burnt sacrifice. Grant thee according to thine own heart and fulfill all thy counsel. We will rejoice in thy salvation, and in the name of our God we will set up our banners. The Lord fulfill all thy petitions. Now know I that the Lord saveth his anointed. He will hear him from his holy heaven with the saving strength of his right hand. Now, as David went through the experiences and saw God move on his behalf, it took his relationship with God to another level, and he said, now I know for myself. So these experiences, beloved, do not be afraid of the experiences. The experiences help you to really know God. And this is where we overcome the devil, by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of our testimony. These experiences, and many of them may be troubling, they help us to know God, because in these experiences that we go through, God reveals himself to us, and we need this revelation of Jesus Christ in our life. Now I know God. We only know God when we have experienced him. What have you experienced today that has revealed Jesus Christ to you? Or have you really experienced God? You will not know God unless you experience him. Get that experience today. This is the Word of Life with Andre Knight.